Hello everyone!
Hello.
I'm Tony.
And I'm Tally.
And we are
the Lazy Book Lovers.
This is a podcast for book lovers who procrastinate about reading and have never-ending to-be-read piles. Tibbers. If your tibber is too long. Today's episode is a reading update. Yes, we're doing another one because we're trying to keep on top of it.
And against brand,
we're being a bit
we've
too...
been slightly reading.
Yeah.
Check
It's like,
us out.
the more we talk about books, the more we read them. Maybe this will help you read more, and then we'll all become unbranded, and we'll have to change our name to the Unlazy Book Lovers or something.
But we'll always have huge TBRs because we can never read as much as what comes out. So.
Yeah, I mean, my TBR fills half my wall.
I've got to recount mine because I counted it at the beginning of the year, and I've been adding on and taking it. But I think I need to do a proper recount. Yeah. But I'm on
I can't even...
400 unread probably at this point.
Because I'm double stacked on the bottom shame shelves. I actually don't even know how much is in here. I've never counted.
Yeah. I've got to start moving my books from the bottom two shelves in my bookcase because the little one has started moving. And she wants books because Mummy reads books, so I want books.
That's nice.
Love her. But I forgot that I had to do that with my son when he was younger, and I'm like, I really can't lose two shelves of books. Two bookshelves.
I tuned out this phase.
I need... Where am I going to put these books?
Didn't you put all his books on the bottom shelf in the end or something?
Yeah.
That was your solution.
Yeah, and I might have to do that with hers.
I can't imagine she has quite the destructive force that the little boy had, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, but she did accidentally tear a page in a library book, and I was like, I
felt that.
I'm gonna have to admit to that when I drop it off. But yeah, so she's got she was given loads of those. That's not my books. That's not my dinosaur. My son reads them to her and shows her where to touch, and my heart.
Oh, that's so cute. He's such a good big brother.
He is. I should really start also logging the books I read to my son, because I read some. I'll tell you what, I read some of them. So my son has got really into Animal Arc books, and I remember reading. I was saying to him, I used to read those books. Yeah, I was like, I used to get these from the library and read them. Oh, my heart.
Yeah, I was obsessed with them. Yeah. Shocking.
So it's really cute, reading them with him. It's a new character now.
Yeah,
but yeah, I love it. So, the adult books, or YA books I've been reading recently, I won't do the kids' books.
It would be funny though.
I don't think...
How big would your read count be if you included all the kids' books?
I mean, we do at least 3 to 4 books a day. So, yeah. And then my daughter's books of That's Not My, I read them a lot.
So I have got 4.
I've got 4.
Oh my god!
Check
us out. Whoop whoop. Or you feeling like going first?
Oh, go on then. Because I've got a really funny named one first.
Yes, I've been waiting for you to talk about this one.
So, I read Bored Gay Werewolf by Tony Santarella. And this came out at the beginning of this month, maybe the 5th, maybe? Something like that. I can't remember. But I read it, I read it and reviewed it literally the day after it came out or something. This is so fun.
Yeah, I
this
thought
really fun.
Just by the cover and by the title, I was like, I bet that's
I've
going to be
actually
a
got
good
2
book.
copies of this now as well.
Really?
Yeah, because I got one in a book box. So, Bored Gay Werewolf follows Brian. He's an aimless slacker, and he works at a bar, and he's a waiter at a bar. And so when we join him, we know that he's dropped out of college. He is kind of just aimlessly surviving, but barely. Him and his work colleagues, who he doesn't have friends, but they're his work colleagues that he spends a lot of time with. They go out drinking every day after work and drink a lot, so he drinks a lot. I've recently discovered that since I don't drink much anymore, I don't like reading scenes that are about drinking. Yeah, it makes me feel a little bit queasy now.
Are you just picturing like stale beer smell and like stale ash?
I think I'm just imagining like the morning after, and I'm just like, I don't know, just.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, I obviously still do go out and things, but not as often. And then I did a big out at the start of the month, and they had like really, really cheap double Bacardi and lemonades. And I was like, well, it's cheap, and I'm British, so I'm like, I must drink.
I'm still in my uni mindset.
You're like, yeah, it's cheap, I must drink. And like usually I start to stop and I like pause and have water, or I just don't I won't drink anything for like an hour, and then I'll have one more. And I just didn't do that this time. I got really swept up in the occasion. And I got home and I was like, oh no. And you know when you're like, I know I'm too drunk to go to bed because this will be bad.
Yeah.
So I like forced myself to stay awake long enough to eat and drink a little. But oh god, it's awful. And it's the worst hangover I can ever remember having. I don't really get that bad hangovers. I get tired, but I don't feel hungover. I felt it in my bones,
in like your
I was like,
soul.
You know, when you're like, I'm never gonna be well again. Yeah, that's how I felt. I was like, this is my life now. I'm gonna be like this forever.
Yeah, I think just because like now obviously I get migraines. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I get a lot of migraine attacks now, and I don't get much sleep. And as much water as I drink, I still am always dehydrated. The thought of dealing with a day after drinking.
Yeah.
When I already feel like I have a lot of drinking effects anyway. Yeah, so I don't know, I've read a lot of books recently that have characters that drink a lot, and those scenes have actually been horrible to read. Like uncomfortable. Even more so than like some of the horror I read.
Well, yeah, you read like real body horror, but you seem to have more of a visceral reaction to this.
Yeah, but when I'm reading about people drinking pint after pint or whatever, I'm like, oh no. So weird. Because I used to be a big drinker. I'm British.
Well, the place you worked, was that you were working there at the time we became friends. Obviously, there was like, you were all the same age. You would all regularly, just after work, after your shift, go out for a drink. And that was just the routine you were in, like a lot of British working people, I guess, of a certain age.
And if you're new here, you may not know that I have depression. And until I started getting that under wraps, I had a lot of self-medication of an alcoholic variety.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it just takes me back, and like I think I have like this thing where I feel guilt when I drink. And I guess it's probably related to that, because I used to wake up and be like, what did I do last night? I don't remember, and I'd always have like a panic that I'd done something silly. So now I just feel guilty when I drink. I don't know, it's just, it doesn't seem to be my lifestyle anymore, which is fine.
I don't know, I think, because I have never blacked out or forgotten a night, and I don't know whether it's just by habit, I just never drank enough, or I don't know. But I think for me, it was because that never happened to me. I was always like, well, I know exactly what I did last night. I have nothing to be anxious about the next day.
Yeah. I have a very bad memory, trauma response. So, I lose memories of stuff all the time. I mean, my son is 5 and I already can barely remember the first year of his life. That might be normal for mums, because you're like, you know, just giving birth, there's a lot of hormones. Well. But yeah, and I'm like so disappointed. Like I look at my daughter and I'm like, I don't remember this part with my son, and then I'm like, in 5 years am I not going to remember this with her? Who knows?
I don't know. I think your stress levels. I mean, obviously not that it's any less hard. Like a baby's still hard. But I feel like you were less stressed this time around because you like trusted yourself.
Yeah, and
as a parent, whereas I think you were very much.
And I had to just, yourself. I still had a 5-year-old, so I had to just get on with life, really. So anyway, Brian and his colleagues go out drinking.
That was a real tangent, sorry.
And then, for some reason, like, once a month, he just disappears on a night out. And they're used to him just disappearing on a night out. And it turns out it's because he turns into a werewolf. So, you find out that, like, when he was at college, he started turning into a werewolf, which is why he had to drop out of college. And it's why he moved cities, because he couldn't be around his family because he didn't want to hurt them / didn't know how to explain to them that he was now a werewolf. And one night he has a little slip up in that he murders someone.
Oh, little boo-boo.
A little boo-boo. And the next day, a gentleman comes into the bar and starts talking to him. This gentleman is called Tyler. And it turns out that he is a werewolf who wants to be a were-mentor. So he wants to, it's like Fight Club. Kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So he wants to create a society of werewolves.
Yeah.
So that they can all, like, support each other and blah, blah, blah. And Brian gets all swept up in it because he's been very alone. And he's never met another werewolf. So he meets Tyler. Tyler starts getting him in, like, good shape. It gets him on a workout routine. Gets him eating properly. Gets him thinking about his future. Should he get a proper job? Like, this kind of stuff. Should he go back to school because he was studying business? And Brian gets very swept up in it, and his work colleagues are like, "We don't like you since Tyler's come along. Like, we're happy for you to
like
do better for yourself.
Yeah,
but we don't like Tyler, and we don't trust him." And and in a kind of Fight Club sense, it's very like toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
and it's a really good kind of a discussion on how the self-help community can be almost cult-like, and really draw you in, and
the fitness community,
exactly, So it's kind of it was really fun. It was very millennial. It was fantastic. It was a really, really fun read. Also, I read it in like a day. I loved
obviously,
it.
like the fitness thing can be quite a significant part of gay culture as well. From like my friends that are obviously gay, they sort of tell me about this. It's very much, there's a certain aesthetic that you have to conform to, and if you don't, depending on what circles you run in, it can not be always that pleasant. So I guess it kind of alludes to that maybe a bit.
I mean the guy Tyler is very much kind of, well, he's a wealthy conservative white man. He may turn into a werewolf, but all of his friends are also wealthy, conservative, white people. And there's a certain element that runs through it as well.
Like the London tech bros.
And a little bit like Yahtzee related, perhaps. It's a good read. Okay. Yeah, it was really fun.
Interesting. That is not where I thought that was going.
No, and I think it's his first book, and I thought it was a brilliant debut.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see what else he comes out with. So I've got 2 copies of this now. If you look at the cover, it's really cool. It's like you've obviously seen it. It's like neon green and purple, and then the flaps on the inside are neon green.
Oh, okay.
But the hardcover is purple. And I wanted to paint the edges, and I couldn't decide because I've got neon green and purple paint, and I couldn't decide which to use. Now I'm going to do one of each and see which one I like best, and then I'll just gift the other one to someone else. So it was a really fun read. Loved it.
Yeah, the cover reminds me of like a Goosebumps style cover.
Yeah, the cover's brilliant. It was just really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's not what I thought that was going to be at all.
I thought it was just going to be a silly little book, and it made me think about so much more than that, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, obviously, because where I'm dating someone in London, and I go to London and I see them all in their bloody suits outside, all standing, holding the same pint, looking like a copy-paste of each other outside the pubs, and I'm like, you're doing this every day, probably. Yeah,
exactly, It's kind of...
It's like a part
It's a little bit embarrassing.
For non-British people, it's just, I don't know, a part of that London culture. If you're of a certain age, that's why we say the tech bros, because it is like techie people, lawyer people.
Or like the finance people.
Finance, because we have massive finance districts in London, really.
Usually the guys that pretend they're nice guys on dating apps, but are actually toxic as shit.
No, women don't want nice men. Like,
Yeah, because if they did, I would have any woman I wanted. Oh, you're nice, are you? Like, so nice that all you do is talk about how you're over 6 foot and how much you earn. Like, yeah, sure.
But they're all sort of all go to this like the London tiny pubs that don't have enough indoor seating.
And they all stand outside with
so
their
they're all outside
yeah.
on the curb because that's legal here with their pints, and you would just see them all, and they're all in the same bloody suits as each other.
It looks like a funeral or something.
Yeah, and they all kind of line the pavements when you're in London.
Yeah,
and it's a very kind of normal sight, and everyone drinks. They work till 6 p.m. and then they'll drink till like 9, 10, and they'll go home, and they do that every day. Yeah. So yeah,
not my lifestyle, gotta say.
I think I would have liked that. Obviously not with the bros, but like that social culture, I probably would have liked out of uni when I first, like, if I'd have moved to London or something, so coming to where we live, which is just outside of London.
I would have liked the finance side of it, but that's about it.
Right. So,
tell me.
We have talked about this in the podcast before, but I feel like you read it long enough ago that it's fine.
And you might have different opinions anyway.
Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry.
Well, I hope you don't have different opinions.
I mean, we're not going to have different opinions about this. So we read the description, even though we have mentioned this a few times now. Why did my Do Not Disturb just turn on? Okay.
Because it knows that you don't want emails coming through.
What the fuck? I'll read the description. High fantasy with a double shot of self-reinvention. Worn out after decades of packing steel and raising hell, Viv the Orc Barbarian cashes out of the warrior's life with one final score. A forgotten legend, a fabled artifact, and an unreasonable amount of hope lead her to the streets of Thune, where she plans to open the first coffee shop the city has ever seen. However, her dreams of a fresh start, pulling shots instead of swinging a sword, are hardly a sure bet. Old frenemies and Thune's shady underbelly may just upset her plans. To finally build something that will last, Viv will need some new partners and a different kind of resolve. A hot cup of fantasy slice of life with a dollop of romantic froth. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, it's about an orc who sets up a coffee shop with a succubus.
Isn't it so cute?
It's so cute. It's such like a... Oh, it is just cozy. It's cozy. It's heartwarming. It was cozy. It was cute. And obviously when the big climactic moment happens and everyone comes together to help her, I was like, oh, like, I'm genuinely like, oh.
Yeah, and so there is a big climactic moment, which
but it's
kind
not
of
that high stakes.
But it is in the book, but it doesn't feel high stakes because it's so cozy. You're like, it's fine,
and everyone just like takes care of her in that moment when the big moment happens, and everyone's like, oh, just like you're this big orc lady, but come here.
Did when I was talking about it, I was trying to be careful of not giving away too much because I knew you were going to read it. So did I straddle that line? Okay, good.
Yeah, like obviously you just kind of said like things from her past come up, which is like a fairly good description of what happens.
Yeah.
Which is the big moment. But yeah, it's just I honestly drank so much fucking coffee while I was reading this.
Oh,
Jesus
right,
Christ.
yeah. It makes you so wanting coffee.
I'd just literally be reading at like midnight and I'd be like, oh, I just really need a coffee right now.
There's a like a cat in it, which I loved. Did you do it as an audio? Or
no, Kindle.
Kindle.
I paid for it actually. It wasn't even on Kindle Unlimited. Oh. I was feeling it. I was feeling something cute and cozy and like easy reading. Yeah. It's quite short.
Yeah, I think it's like a 5-hour audiobook.
It's 318 pages on the digital edition.
It's just it is what they say. It's just
cute.
Cozy,
it's sapphic,
fancy.
But it's not like I don't know. It's almost like it's very natural. The romance is part of the story. Like it just kind of yeah. It's not like a main theme of the story. It's just like inevitable.
The little baker.
Yeah.
Oh, what's he called?
Thimble.
Like yeah. Oh,
and like the inventing of like cakes to go with the coffee and like
the
all
different
this kind of
types
stuff.
Coffee, like the iced coffee, the takeaway coffee. It's just cute.
Yeah, and like the fact that she obviously befriends like the mafia boss.
Yeah. It's camp. It's just camp.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It was very, very cute. Are
you going to read the prequel when it comes out?
Potentially.
I've got an arc of it I need to read.
Yeah.
Comes out in like August or September, I think.
Oh, not much. It was just a really enjoyable read. It was really cute.
10 out of 10 should read.
Yeah, if you like fantasy, it's just if you like high fantasy, but without all like the soul destroyingness of like it making you sad.
I think like even though it's high fantasy, I think it's soft enough that it would be a good beginner's fantasy
book,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just cute. I loved it.
I loved it. I think I will. I obviously we did a cozy fantasy Rex list for an episode. Go listen to it. Yeah. I can't remember what episode number it was, but it was recent. I might sort of have a little look through because some of them are on Kindle Unlimited or are free on Audible. So
yeah, because there's such a big list of them now.
Mm-hmm. So I think I might delve into some more.
Episode 74, Cozy Fantasy Book Rex. If it's got a really big plot for a book that's plotless. Love it.
We don't pick short titles for our episode.
I can't even remember which book we were describing then.
No.
But episode 74, go back and listen.
I think that might be Starless Sea.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Because you like Starless Sea and you picked that title,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's probably why you picked the title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's my first one.
Oh, lovely.
Okay,
I read a book that's been on my TBR since it came out in 2021.
Okay.
And I finally got around to it. The Appeal by Janice Hallett. So,
what are you talking about?
No, this is a murder mystery thriller. And she's got a third one that's come out now. So I've been meaning to read them. So I finally started. So I read the first one. And they are all... they're all murder mystery thrillers, and they all have a mixed media element.
Okay.
So this one, I recommend for all of them, if you can, get physical and audio at the same time.
So mixed media, for people who don't know, what does that mean?
Okay, so for the example, the first one, the whole entire thing is written, you're reading emails and message exchanges, and that is the whole book. The second one is a podcast, so you're reading podcast transcripts. So I've been told it's very good to listen to the audio with that one. And the third one, I think if I remember correctly, it's like a cold case. So it's written as extracts from true crime books.
Oh, okay.
So none of it follows like a linear narrative, and none of it's all done through that medium.
Very bitty as well. Yeah.
So the first one, The Appeal, it's about a murder in a small village. Well, it's not really a small village, but it's kind of like got small British village vibes.
Yeah.
Like, think of Midsummer Murders. If you haven't watched Midsummer Murders, do it. So someone is murdered, and they are a part of a amateur dramatics group.
Oh my god, I want to join an AmDram.
And they're also a nurse in like hospice care, and they also potentially have something from their past. They used to work in, I can't remember where they worked. They used to do like Doctors Without Borders type thing in another country. Okay. I can't remember where it is now. So the whole thing, it starts from like the very beginning. It's like email trains, people discussing like auditioning for the play, who's got what part, etc., etc. And then I'll just read what it says here. Mm-hmm. So there is a mystery to solve in the sleepy town of Lower Lockwood. It starts with the arrival of two secretive newcomers and ends with a tragic death. Law students Charlotte and Femi have been assigned to the case. Someone has already been put in prison for the murder, but they suspect that they are innocent, and that far darker secrets have yet to be revealed. Throughout the Amateur Dramatic Society, disastrous staging of All My Sons, and the shady charity appeal for a little girl's cancer treatment, the murderer hid in plain sight. Will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? So you don't even find out who's been jailed for it till like 2/3 of the way through. So at the beginning, there's Charlotte and Femi who are law students, and they've been assigned this from a lawyer to look into. So he's like, I'm not going to give you any details around it. Here is a bunch of transcripts and emails. And then, So you go through the emails and then it goes to WhatsApp messaging between those, Charlotte and Femi, as they're discussing the case. So you're not only trying to work out who could be the murderer, you're trying to work out who has even been murdered and what the reason is.
Okay.
And then you get to a point where the lawyer's like, so this person got murdered, and they're like, oh, okay, so they start picking out things, and then it's like, and then he comes back and he's like, this is the person in jail, and then you see the transcripts of the interviews in the police station, and it was really, really fun. I literally, as I said, I had the physical book and audio book. I started it at like 7pm, 7:30pm, and I read it in a whole night. And I do not do that. I'm a mum.
Well, also you're not a binge reader. You never have been.
No.
Like you go in and out. You pick up a different book. You like
how many currently reading?
Yeah, exactly.
And this wasn't even on my TBR for this month. So yeah, that happened. So I think like the audiobook at the speed I listened to was about 5 hours, 6 hours. Did it the whole night.
For future me, when I listen to this, once it's been edited, go put that on a list.
So I've got the second one at home, the physical copy. I got it from the library, so I'm waiting for my Audible credit to come through, and then I'm going to get the second audio, listen to that.
Yeah, I'm really conflicted about what to use my Audible credit for this month, because the next book in the Bridge Kingdom series has been released.
I've got the first book now to read.
Because they're all on the included library as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how I read them first of all. Like I got the paperback copies
so I
later.
think I'm going to do the audio and the physical, like go between the two.
She exclusively releases on audio first. Paperback comes out six months afterwards.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I thought was a clever sort of.
So I think
gambit.
my cover's different to your cover, and I kind of wish I'd got the indie covers.
I got this off of the Discord we're in.
Yeah.
Someone had the the ARC.
I saw that because I was going to ask. I was going to ask for it, and I saw you'd already asked for it. Yeah,
straight in there. I need to get the other two books in it actually. Well, the third book, which is out, and then I'm going to get the fourth one when the paperback comes out. But anyway, so that has been released. So I don't know whether to use my credit for that, or I've started 2 different series. That the first few books were free.
And
the rest are on
you out like that, don't they?
And then there's like a few really interesting non-fictions I want to read, but I just know I'm not going to read them. But I think I could audio them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I might have to fork out some extra money this month.
Or join the library, or try my free trial of Scribd.
Yeah, there are many things I could do,
and they
just keep
might have the non-fiction ones.
Yeah. There's a ADHD couple on TikTok. They've made a book, and it looks like it might be quite interesting. So I wanted to read it.
A non-fiction one.
Just about ADHD and like management of chores and stuff. Undiagnosed, by the way, guys. I'm just out of curiosity want to read it.
Maybe I need that for my household.
Yeah,
I'm reading like 2 or 3 ADHD books I got out from the library because we suspect my son has it. So
yeah, like obviously it's in the same vein as the how to keep
house.
What's the
How to Keep House While Drowning?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, by
Casey David.
Can recommend. That's 50 pages, and it was a really good book, and it's helped more than a few people that I've given it to.
I need to come back to that. It emotionally killed me after like 10 pages, so I put it down.
Yeah, but once you get through, because she was like, I'm walking you through this therapy book quick style. She was like, so we address the emotional components of cleaning first,
and then
we move on to the practicalities.
Yeah.
I think it's in the same vein as that kind of book. And obviously applying these things to my everyday life, diagnosed a lot, has made my life significantly easier with things I didn't know other people didn't struggle with. So I'm like, I feel like reading more would be helpful because it's already helped me.
Definitely.
But anyway, I've been very conflicted about what to use my.
Also, on that note, I will put in our links my referral thing for Scribd. If you use it, you get 2 months for free. I get a month for free, which is cool as well. But you get 2 months for free. Yeah. So you can test it, and then if you don't like it, just cancel your
Because obviously, non-Amazon based options.
Yeah, and they
are always worth exploring.
They have ebooks and audiobooks and podcasts, and they have a lot of like graphic novels and stuff on there. So.
It's me now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is a listen.
So I love that you're giggling.
Well, this is that that series, the Waldo Rabbit series that I've been listening to.
Oh, yeah.
The funny one.
Oh, did you have to buy this one?
Yes, I think. I can't remember at which point. I don't know if my next one's now not free or if this one wasn't free. I can't remember now. So this book is called The Rabbit, Great and Terrible, which is Waldo Rabbit book 3. For those of you who haven't listened to previous reading updates, basically in this world there's different countries. Our main character, whose name I can't remember now. No, his name is Waldo, but his surname isn't Rabbit. I can't remember his real name actually. I'm starting to lose track. But he comes from a place with dark sorcery. He is normal, and he's from one of the 5 ruling families where dark sorcery is kind of like the status quo. And he's grown up in a very different kind of world where there's zombies that got everywhere, and there's like slaves, and there's sex slaves. But they have sex slaves who like enjoy the sex and they choose that life and stuff. So not in a dark way.
It's not dark, guys. Yeah, so only the first one's included.
Yeah, I think the second one not included. Alright.
They enticed you in with the first one.
Yes, the first one's called the sort of, and it's like brackets, sort of dark mage. He's meant to be really dark, but he just doesn't like killing that much. And he's a really terrible liar and stuff like that. And then he's meant to take over his mum, because he's the last surviving child of hers, of like 7 children. He's the last one surviving, so he's going to be her heir. And they're like, he's not tough enough to be the heir. And when you reach a certain age, you go on a quest to prove yourself. And they're like, okay, well, he has to go on his quest early, and there's certain terms he has to hit before we'll accept him as like your heir. If not, you have to pick someone else. So he gets sent on his quest. And his quest is harder than normal. And he goes in search of 3 great monsters, because you can make them your familiars. So you can kind of bind them to you, except he finds a succubus who he accidentally marries instead. As well as binding it. Yeah, and then his second...
Because they have like the language barrier, and they're like,
I don't know if I had read the second one during our last reading, but I must have that done.
No, I think you were about to read it.
It's earlier in my story graph, but that doesn't really mean much.
I don't remember you talking about it, at least, but maybe you only told us about the first
one.
Like
the general premise. So in the second one, he finds a ogre, and it's a gay ogre who likes BDSM. And like he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, like ogre guy. Like I'm not.
I love that these are put under classics. Like they're tagged under classics on Audible.
He's like, oh, sorry, ogre, I'm not gay, unfortunately. So like, I'll just be sleeping with my succubus wife, because him and Alice, the wife, end up getting together. And the ogre's like, oh, that's fine. Like, I'm fine with that, but I do want the whole whips and chains thing. And because he's grown up in like a dark castle, he knows how to torture people. Yeah. But he also knows how to torture it in a pleasurable way because of the sex slaves. So he's like, okay, fine,
I can do this. It's alright.
And so they're always alluding to like weird acts. BDSM acts. He's like, if you do this, like, because they're going on a quest. He's like, if you do this part of the quest for me, we'll do so and so later. And the ogre's like, yes, master.
Oh my god, that sounds brilliant.
And he also accidentally makes a white sorcerer fall in love with him by giving her a really powerful love potion.
What is it with him and accidentally falling into these things?
So like, she's like convinced she's going to save him. She's like a white mage, and they come from a country called Avalon that's very, very powerful. And she's like, oh, I love you. And she doesn't know he's a dark sorceress this whole time. She just thinks he's a white mage gone rogue. She's like, I'm going to save you with my love. And so this is the last. So he's got his 3 monsters now. No, he's in the quest for his 3rd monster in this book, sorry, which is a dragon. But to practice lying, he invents, because he's pretending to be a white mage, and he invents the god of the white mages that he tells people about and spreads the word of, but it's the giant rabbit.
Right.
So, and then, but he's a little bit too successful, so then this book, the Rabbit Great and Powerful, the religion spreads.
Of course.
And then people start, so he's just out and about. Someone's like, "Thank you for helping me. Power of the rabbit unto you." And they do like a hand gesture of like rabbit ears. And then it's just spread among...
Do you know what this is giving me the vibes of? But like a more fancy thing of like Life of Brian or something.
Yeah.
Like a Monty Python sketch.
It's very Terry Pratchett. It's just very of that genre.
Very British.
Yeah, I don't know if this author is British, but it's like, so this religion starts to spread and he actually causes a revolt in the name of the rabbit great and terrible, but that was never his intention. He was just trying to practice lying. And he's like, well, I'm obviously a great liar. Look at that!
What happened?
And he teams up with like these elves that are like dark elves. And everyone's like, "Ooh, what kind of political moves are Avalon making? Because the white mage is teaming up with the elves." And he's like, "Well, not really with Avalon, but I'll let you think that." Because he's trying to ruin Avalon's reputation by being a white mage who's doing all these terrible things. And he discovers that he quite likes stealing and lying. He doesn't like murder though.
I draw the line of murder.
And he has like a thief that he tricks into like working with them, and that's it. Like and. It's just funny.
So fun. Yeah.
So at the end of this book, they get the location of the dragon, and the whole city like burns down. So everywhere he's gone, there's just been chaos behind him.
Just like la la la.
Yeah, and he's making enemies left, right, and centre. His like grandfather is a lich who likes to kill his relatives. And he's been hunted by his grandfather just because.
Just for lols.
Yeah, so his grandfather killed one of his brothers and stuff like that.
That's so funny.
It's a good fun, and it's lots of like, because he's grown up where like stuff is very normalised, like nakedness. He's like doesn't have any prudishness about being naked, but his wife is from this country they're in, where they are quite prudish, and she was always like, "That's wrong," and he's like, "But why?"
Yeah, why is it wrong?
And she's like, "What are the best breasts you've ever seen?" He's like, "Well, my mother has quite nice breasts." And there's like lots of misunderstandings. It's just good. It's fun.
Sounds good.
It's enjoyable, and I've been listening to them, and I've been listening to them at
work.
You're
just chuckling away, giving yourself away. So for those of you who don't know, because a lot of people with Audible don't know, there is a Plus catalogue that is included in your subscription.
So it doesn't take your credit for the month.
So you can listen to anything in there, as many as you want for the month, and it doesn't take a credit. So they often have like the first or sometimes the second of a series to catch you.
Yes,
to entice you in.
To me. They did this to me with the Red Rising series as well. The first 3 were free.
Yeah, and
there's 7 of them.
You.
And that one I haven't gone back to yet.
That's also on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds so fun. I've got the first one in my library, so I can't wait to give it a try.
Yeah, it's good, silly. If you like fantasy and you like a bit of tongue-in-cheek humour, you'll like this.
Yeah.
And like the ogre that's gay is obviously a very stereotype of a gay person, but it's meant tongue-in-cheek. It's very British humour. It's the only way I can describe it. I'm assuming this author is British. I don't know.
Or he's just captured it very well.
But it is very Terry Pratchett. It's not punching down kind of humour, basically. So that was my second.
Sorry. I'm just looking up the author, see if I can find out where. Where he's from.
I haven't even said the author's name, have I?
No. Oh.
Nelson Treater.
He's American.
Is he from New York or Boston or something?
He's from Massachusetts. Is
that Boston? That's the state, isn't it? I don't know.
New Bedford he's from.
Well,
and he lived he's also lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, Naples, Florida, Tampa. Oh, he's Portuguese American.
Yeah.
He's a Catholic, a registered Democrat, a sarcastic bastard. He says a lot about himself, and he sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant, excellent. I can't wait to give that a try. I've avoided listening to the first one because I'm worried that I'm then going to want to listen to the rest.
I mean, well, since I've been buying them, you just log in as me. It's fine, as well. You can be my third device again.
I was saying that to my other half because I've got some. I have my Audible subscription. He doesn't have a subscription to it. He finished his subscription a while ago. And I said I had some audiobooks, and he was like, "Oh, I want to really want to listen to that." And I was like, "Well, why don't you be my device?" And he was like, "Oh, too much effort." And I was like, "Whatever."
I think you can be logged in on 3 devices. I'm sure it's 3.
I'm already logged in on 3, but it's fine, whatever.
Well, I mean, then you could be my 3rd because I've only got my iPad and my phone.
Yeah, I've got my laptop, my tablet, and my phone. But come at me, Amazon.
Me, bruh.
Come at me, bruh. Jeff Bezos is too busy being a billionaire. He don't care. Right.
Netflix cares, apparently.
Oh, God, they're so pathetic.
Because I went cat sitting and I couldn't fucking watch Netflix because there's a different... And I was like, I'm away. And it's like, we've sent a code to the person who owns the account. I'm like, great, he's on night shift, so I won't watch anything then.
They're such bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The Neighbour Favour by Christina Forrest. So this is part of my romance read-along that I'm doing with the Tandem Collective. So you will hear lots of romances here and there throughout the summer. This one was really cute. I finished it last night.
Okay.
So last night I was on like page 215 when I went to bed, and I finished it, and it's like 390 pages. I don't know what's going on.
That was me last night. I was 40 pages from the end of a book. Because I wanted to talk about it today as well. So I was like really trying. I was like, no, I have to go to bed.
I don't know what's wrong with me. Recently, when I've been able to get... I've been able to get to bed at like a sweet spot where I'm not just immediately like, I'm tired, I need to go to sleep. Yeah. So, this follows a shy bookworm who enlists her charming neighbour to help her score a date, not knowing he's the obscure author she's been corresponding with. So, it's really sweet.
This reminds me of so many 2010s films, 2000s films.
Yeah, like she's got mail and stuff. So, Lily, a shy, bookish and admittedly awkward, Lily Green has always felt inadequate compared to the rest of her accomplished family, who strive for black excellence. She dreams of becoming a children's books editor, but she's been frustratingly stuck in a non-fiction division for years without a promotion in sight. Lily finds escapism in her correspondences with her favourite fantasy author. So he is a author. She found his book randomly when she worked at a bookshop, and it's been her favourite book since she read it, and it's like 20 years old or so, maybe not that long, but like 15 years old, and it's called The Elves of something. I want to zoom in because on the front cover, that book actually says what the book's called on it, but you can't zoom in on Storygraph. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a fantasy book about elves, and the elves are black, so she's always loved it because she saw herself in a book.
Yeah.
And that's what made her want to be a children's book editor, because she wants to have children's books that all children can see themselves in. And she is obsessed with this author, and well, not obsessed, but he's like her favourite author, and he's very mysterious. He has a small bio, he has no online presence whatsoever, he never released any other books.
Yeah.
All she knows is he's this guy called Strick, and he is a British guy, and that's the only thing he's written, that's all she knows.
Yeah.
And she often just Googles his name randomly to see if he's come up with a social media presence. And one day when she's on the underground, she Googles his name just while she's on the underground, and she finds out he's got a website, and she's so excited. She goes on like the contact me form, and she types him an email just saying like how his book changed the course of her life, like blah blah blah, how much it meant to her, like
every bookworm has ever pictured doing to their favourite author but doesn't have the guts to do.
And then he replies, and then for like 6 months they're like pen pals, like email pen pals. And he says about how he just won't go back to writing. That was like a one-off. He's now a travelling reporter and blah, blah, blah. And then they chat for a while. And then they decide, like, they start getting a little bit flirty. And then they're like... So the first third of the book is their email exchange before it goes into, like, the now. And then they decide they're going to... they get a bit flirty. He says he's never been to New York, which is where she lives. She says, this is what we would do on a date. And they start talking. And then they decide on New Year's Eve they're going to have a video call.
Yeah.
And then he just never shows up. And then he emails her and he's just like, I'm sorry, I wasn't who I said I was. And then when she tries to reply, the mail is blocked. Like, she can't email him. And she is literally heartbroken. Like, she feels entirely heartbroken. So this is months later, and she, so months later, Lily is still crushed, but she's determined to get a hold of her life, starting with finding a date to her sister's wedding. And the perfect person to help her is Nick Brown, her charming, attractive new neighbour, who she feels drawn to for reasons she can't explain. But little does she know, Nick is an author, her favourite fantasy author. So he moves to New York, and he sells his book, and it's getting republished, and he's writing a sequel, and he moves to New York, and he ends up 2 doors down from where she's crashing on her sister's couch. He doesn't know who she is to begin with, but he just knows she's a hot girl in his apartment block that he wants to talk to, and they finally start chatting, and then he realises she's the Lily that had been emailing him. And he's like, I can't be her friend because I've already broken her heart once.
Yeah.
Because she's very open about it. And then, but she's like, no, I find you quite attractive. I think we should hang out.
Yeah.
And then, they decide to just be friends, and he's going to help her find a date. It's so cute. Oh my god.
So what is the age difference? If she read his book when she was younger?
Yeah, she wasn't a child. So they're literally just a couple of years age difference.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote it when he was 22, and she found it when she was 19 or something like that.
Okay.
So she was an adult, and she wished she'd had that as a child.
Sorry, I missed.
And that was the reason why she wanted to go into publishing. So yeah.
Oh, I like
and
that.
then she helps him, I don't know, get a bit more confidence in himself and not be a unknown author.
Yeah.
And yeah. Really cute.
That'd be so
Lovely.
mysterious.
Yeah, it was really fun. I loved
that
it.
sounds like a really nice read.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm really liking the romance reads you're getting in this readathon.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It is adding things to my list.
Yeah, so I've got Bridge Kingdom on my list from that. That's this month, one of this month's reads.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's Romancy month.
Yeah, Bridge Kingdom, I really enjoyed it. And that was the audio.
Yeah, so I've got that one, Guild. I'm sure you've seen that series.
I'm actually surprised I didn't have that book, even though that's very much my aesthetic.
Yeah. And I'm currently reading The Curse of Saints, I think it's called, which has taken me longer to read than I would have thought. And weird that I've read 2 books in the meantime.
Yeah.
That I wasn't meaning to read.
Okay, so my next one is the second book in the Caraval series. I am about halfway through the last book now as well.
Okay.
These are taking me an extraordinarily long time to read.
They are.
I don't know why. Cause
I thought you would devour these.
all the ingredients equal perfect Tony read.
Mm-hmm.
In the storytelling is even enjoyable. I don't know why I can't read. I'm getting through these maybe 40 pages at a time.
That's not like you.
I can't identify why. Because there's nothing wrong with it. The storytelling is nice. It's very readable. It's interesting. There's a whole new concept that gets introduced at the second book that's different to the Caraval theme of the first book. So it's not like they're just doing the same Caraval over and over. I can't tell you why this is taking me so long to read.
So
I really don't know. It's just not gripping me. And it's not like a reading slam, because I've been reading things on my Kindle really fast.
Yeah.
Reading other things. I've been consuming audios really fast. I don't know. I really can't tell you why.
But the end is in sight.
Yeah, and that's how I'm feeling. I feel like I'm slogging through to the end, even though I'm enjoying it when I'm reading it, and I can't tell you why.
Is it putting you off reading her most recent series, do you think?
I really can't identify what I'm struggling with. So anyway, the second book... second book basically follows Donatella's point of view. It picks up...
That's the sister, isn't it?
That's the sister. So the first book is told from Scarlett's point of view. Scarlett goes into Caraval. She's meant to marry a very handsome count who she's never met. And her sister's and then they get invited to Caraval by Legend, who Scarlett's been writing to for years. And her sister's no, we have to at least try. So they go to Caraval. Well, Scarlett goes kind of against her will, but then when she's there, she's okay, I'm here now, I might as well throw myself into it. And shit goes down. Nothing in Caraval is real. The magic is all kind of like, woo. And then the next two books are, the second book is entirely from Donatella's point of view, and then the third book is switching POVs.
Okay.
So we find out Donatella might have had more to do with the reason they ended up at Caraval than Scarlet thought. It wasn't just Scarlet's letters that got them there. And Donatella has a more of her own history with Caraval and all this kind of stuff. So their mum left them when they were kids. She just fled. And we find out that Donatella has a memory related to that Scarlet doesn't have. She finds this magical deck of tarot cards in her mum's room. And it's like disguised as a smelly bag of perfume that like the kids are like, ew, I don't want to touch that. And then so one day for Donatella, but they call her Tella, it's like suddenly with these really pretty cards. And she picks them up, and it's called a deck of destiny in this. And if you turn it over, there's things called the Fates in this world, and they're like gods that walked the earth at one point that disappeared. And they were known to be quite harsh gods. And it's like everyone accepts that they were once just walking around. And if you turn over a card in the deck of destiny, it makes it more like for that fate to come true, basically.
Oh.
And she's just a kid, like, pretty pictures! And she turns over, like, 3 cards before her mum can get to her.
Yeah.
And then her mum, like, is just completely shocked by these cards and is, like, pale, and she's like, where did you find these? She's like, well, I found them in the vault. So what's the big deal? And then her mum disappears.
They're just pretty cards.
Shortly after that.
Oh, okay.
And then we find out that her mum is kind of wrapped up in Caraval as well. And in the magic of the Fates and the reasons the Fates disappeared. So then the second book, they go to the capital of the Empire for the Caraval that's happening shortly afterwards, and usually they're once a year. But because it's the Empress's, like, a big birthday for the Empress, it's like her 80th birthday or something. So they're doing a big thing, and as part of that, they're doing a Caraval.
Yeah.
And it's like for the heir as well, who has like supposedly murdered his way to the top and stuff like that. And they're staying in the big palace where the Caraval is taking place. They're staying in the palace of the Empress and all this kind of stuff. And Tella accidentally kind of gets herself bound to the heir of the throne.
Of course.
To lie her way into the palace, one of the players, Dante, who we meet in the previous book, is a bit like a morally grey character. To get her into the palace, and Dante like jokingly says, "Oh, she's the fiancée of the heir."
Oh yeah.
And Donatella just goes along with it because she wants to get into the palace, and basically that backfires big time because the heir is a bit dodge.
So, didn't that happen with the sister as well? They both are pretending to be fiancés or something.
Yeah, so they're in the first book.
With that
Scarlet was the handsome sailor man who helped them get to Caraval Island, and there's like, oh, I'll take the ticket that you were sent for your fiancé. I'll take that, and I'll pretend to be your fiancé.
Yeah.
So
they both got pretend fiancés.
Yeah, and basically the heir is like, you have to make this believable because I was already engaged once and she died, and there's lots of rumours about that. So if this engagement turns out to be false because the rumours have already spread, you've already fucked it, he's like, then I'm going to be in big trouble and it'll make my like role as the heir difficult. So he's like, for the week of Caraval, you have to play the part, then we'll say it's part of Caraval and Caraval ends. But it turns out he is a fate that's escaped from the deck of destiny.
Oh.
So all the fates were put into a deck of destiny. So all the fates in these cards are the real fates, which turns out to be the one that her mother stole. So she had a thing full of the actual real fates that were imprisoned. And he turns out to be the Prince of Hearts. And if you kiss him, you're going to die.
Oh.
And she kisses the Prince of Hearts, and he's like, find me who Legend really is. So Legend's the guy who runs Caraval. He's like, find me who Legend is by the end of the 7 days, or you're going to die.
What a situation to find yourself in.
Yeah. So then she's trying to solve because Caraval is a riddle, she's trying to solve the Caraval riddle. Meanwhile, Dante just keeps like fucking showing up and being all like mysterious and morally grey and handsome.
Is this happening at the same time as the first book, or after?
Second. After.
After, okay.
So Scarlet's with her. So Scarlet, the events of the first book have happened to Scarlet. She finds out that the handsome sailor is actually a player as part of Caraval, and is actually Legend's brother.
Okay.
So he's been an actor in Caraval for years.
Yeah.
Because Caraval, they don't age. So he's been alive about 300 years. And he's been playing in Caraval with his brother for years. And she's like, I'm done with all the lies. And he's like, I've been a professional liar for like 300 years. I'm going to struggle with that.
Sorry.
So when they first go to the palace, she's like, basically Scarlett's whole thing is she's like trying to learn to trust Julian. Because like she's in love with him, but he's like he's a bit dodge and he lies a lot. And he did a lot of dodgy things during Caraval to her as a player of Caraval. So that's like Scarlett's story. But we don't really find out about because we're all at Donatella's point of view, and Donatella's just like trying not to die for the second book, basically.
Okay.
And there's just a bit of a kind of twist towards the end. I feel like you see it coming, but again, we don't always. That's a bad thing of who like Legend really is. Basically, we find out who Legend is. And this whole thing with the fates gets a bit more complicated. So does it mean like there's a whole like it's not just the
I've got to send
again.
you that review now that you've almost finished, so you can watch it.
Yeah. So again, like I don't know why I'm finding this really slow and hard to get through.
It's annoying because it's going to put you off picking up the next series.
Yeah,
for a bit,
we've got morally grey, like hot men.
Got a game element.
Yeah, they're solving puzzles, there's weird gods, there's magic. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. These are enjoyable. Like I'm not saying I'm not recommending them either.
Yeah.
Don't
just know. They are.
They just aren't gripping me. Like I'm just reading
strange. Because it has all the elements that should be something you to get obsessed with.
It's the perfect storm, and then the Caraval has lots of symbols associated with it. Like red roses and keys and
yeah,
and the fates obviously have all symbols associated with them.
I will pick it up.
Yeah, I still think you'd enjoy it,
and then I can let you know if I work out anything with it that's not vibing or whatever.
I can't even tell you.
Interesting.
The characters, sometimes don't have a lot of depth, but they have enough that it doesn't feel shallow.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Maybe it's just a product of its time in that it's just, if you'd read it at the time, you might have loved it.
if I'd have read this when I was a teenager, I would have absolutely fucking loved this.
Yeah.
I think.
And maybe now you've just read so much in the fantasy genre.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't tell you.
Okay. The last book I'm going to talk about, I actually have like half an hour left on the audio at the speed I read. So I will be finished with this by the time I get home from recording today. So I can't tell you what I think about the ending, but that's fine because it's a thriller, so you don't really want to know the ending. Yellowface by Rebecca F. Kwong.
Heard lots of controversial debates about this on TikTok.
Yeah. It's the first R.F. Kwong I've read. I've got Babel. I've not picked it up yet because I have such high expectations.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about reading it.
I didn't realise that was the same author.
Yeah. So that's R.F. Kwong.
Okay.
That and The Poppy War. And then she released Yellowface and it's under Rebecca F. Kwong. So I think she's going to have her fantasy stuff under R.F. and then her thriller stuff under Rebecca.
Yeah, okay.
So this is weird that this is the first one I've read by her because she's mainly known for fantasy. I've got Babel. I know I'm going to love it, which I've not picked it up because I'm scared.
Poppy War's meant to be really good
Poppy
as well.
War, I'm
so
desperate
but
to
really
get
good,
to, yeah. But this is the first one I picked up. I love her writing style.
Yeah.
It is making me, the whole time I've been listening to this, I started it yesterday, I want to write. It's making me want to write.
Oh,
because
I'm
in love with it. But yeah, about the actual book. So, authors June Howard and Athena Liu were supposed to be twin rising stars. Same year at Yale, same debut year in publishing. But Athena's a cross-genre literary darling, and June didn't even get a paperback release. Nobody wants stories about basic white girls, June thinks. So when June witnesses Athena's death in a freak accident, she acts on impulse. She steals Athena's just finished masterpiece, an experimental novel about the unsung contributions of Chinese labourers to the British and French war efforts during the First World War. So what if June edits Athena's novel and sends it to her agent as her own work? So what if she lets her new publisher rebrand her as Juniper Song? complete with an ambiguously ethnic author photo. Doesn't this piece of history deserve to be told, whoever the teller? That's what June claims, and the New York Times bestseller list seems to agree. But June can't get away from Athena's shadow, and emerging evidence threatens to bring June's stolen success right down around her. As June races to protect her secret, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. And it says, with its total immersive first-person voice, Yellowface takes on questions of diversity, racism, and cultural appropriation, not just in the publishing industry, but the persistent erasure of Asian American voices and history by Western white society. It is amazing. I have no clue how it's going to end.
That's a very nuanced line to tread. Mm-hmm. It could easily have gone very badly.
I can't see how it's going to end, but I trust that I'm not going to be disappointed with the ending. It's really, really good. So, June, obviously when this book comes out, she starts getting questions about whether she's the right person to be telling this story, etc., because she's not Asian or Asian American. And then her publishers are like, so her actual name is Juniper and Song is her middle name, and then Howard. Not it's more of a hippie take her mother had. Like her sister's called Aurora something, like her Aurora Melody, something like that.
Chosen to use her middle name because it.
So she goes from June Howard, which is what she was releasing as, to Juniper Song. She gets new author photos taken, and she looks very ambiguous in terms of her ethnicity. And it is a crazy ride. And it's all from June's point of view.
Yeah.
And June, as a person, does not hold back on the fact that she has a lot of, I suppose, casually racist views would be the right thing to say. You know when that girl went...
Everyday racism.
Yeah. You know when that girl went viral on TikTok for saying that she got declined from an agent and it's because she's white and no one's taken on white authors anymore? That was recent as well.
Yeah.
It was those vibes.
Okay.
Yeah. So then she starts getting invited to panels and stuff like that, and to go and meet Asian American groups and talk about her book. And when she arrives, and they're like, "Oh, so do you speak Mandarin?" And she's like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, your mum or dad didn't teach you?" And she's like, "Oh, no, I'm not Asian." And they're all like, "Oh."
So like, her sister that wrote this book, how did her sister do the research?
No, so her sister didn't write the book.
I misunderstood.
It says Twin Rising Stars. It's okay. It's a schoolmate who is Asian American. Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
So she steals the work of an Asian American.
Oh, okay. I was like, if it was like her twin sister who did a well-researched book in an ethical way, but no, it's an Asian author that she's done. Okay, sorry, I was missing that context.
Of an Asian author, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who was writing about something related to her family, and she steals it. And
okay, yeah.
Passes herself off as... She doesn't really say what she is, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so she gets in a group chat with two other like New York Times bestsellers, and they are like really bitchy in the chat, and they're white authors, but they are very kind of racist.
Okay.
I mean, I know you can't be kind of racist. They're like,
overtly.
Yeah, so they're like, you're like, what? So you can't write about World War II if you weren't involved. You know, like how people like to be ridiculous with their arguments. Yeah. So they kind of hype her up a bit, and I could see a lot of influences from things that have come to light in the publishing world in the last few years.
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous book so far. As I said, I haven't finished it, but from what I've read so far, I trust it's going to be an ending I'm happy with.
Okay. Yeah, I saw like there was a whole bunch of TikToks going in about the name. They were like, it's a slur, and like that's the point.
Mhm. Yeah.
they were like, yellow face is a slur, and it's like,
yeah, and
that's
like
the
the
point.
eyes.
Yeah.
I saw someone talking about it. So if you haven't seen the cover, look up the cover. It's just a yellow cover. It says yellow face, and then it's got like Asian eyes on it. It's the only way I can explain it, really. And people were saying, oh, did they have to draw the eyes like that? They look slanty, and it's like,
What's the point?
You need to read. You're missing so much context here. And yeah, because effectively she's yellow facing, so yeah, it's really good. It's very I mean, R.F. Kuang is very vocal about the publishing industry, and she was very involved in the HarperCollins union strikes. So she is always bringing light to things in the industry, and I think this is just, I mean, I think it's just wonderful, to be honest. It's quite dark, but yeah, I'm on edge the whole time, just waiting for her to do her next stupid thing. Yeah.
Oh god, I hate books like that.
Yeah,
you're just internally cringing, and it's really clever when you're doing first person POV, and they make you hate the character. Mm-hmm. Because usually when you're their point of view, you're kind of on their side. Yeah. Like, you're batting for their team, because you're hearing their point of view. So to make you dislike the character that's speaking.
And the worst thing is, like, she, in herself, she thinks she's a good person. She thinks she's done nothing wrong. Yeah. So, yeah, it's very well written. But yeah, so she's like, there's a scene where she goes to Chinatown. And she goes into a Chinese restaurant, and she decides to start chatting to the waiter in there to learn more about his life, because she's like, thinks of herself as an investigative reporter now. And it's just so awkward, like, listening to it. I'm just like, oh. And then, like, afterwards, she's like, oh, why was everyone so mean to me?
It's like, you've ever been to a restaurant where someone's, like, trying to talk to the waiter about their native country?
Oh, yeah.
Like, 'cause I've been there. I spent 3 weeks there. I'm like, I'm here.
Oh my god, yeah.
It gives me that kind of vibe.
Yeah, or so where are you from? And they're like, oh, London. And they're like, no, where are you really from? Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, London. Yeah, but where are your parents from? Oh, they were born here. So you're from... No, I was born in London. Yeah. Like, my heritage may be that, but I'm British. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got talking with someone at work, actually, about, like, the heritage to do with my name. Because obviously I have an Italian name, my full name, which is Antonio Bernardin, which sounds like we just emigrated last year. And it's like, nah, 100 or so years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, people always ask me about my name, because it's like... It's a British name. It's a very British name. It's just not a very common name. In fact, my family are the only ones with our surname in England or in the UK.
Whereas there's still a lot of people in Italy with my surname. There's a huge amount of Bernardins in America as well. I don't know how those people are related to me, but I was obviously very distant. But so we got on the topic, and I was like, I am a European mutt. I've got German, I've got Italian, potentially Spanish, not confirmed, Irish, English. I was like, I am a European mutt, basically. Like, in the winter, I look Irish pale. As soon as you get me in sun, I look olive toned.
But if anyone asked you, you'd say you're British.
No, I was like, we have been raised with, like, 2-3... Because someone at work was like, oh, we emigrated about 100 years ago from Italy. She was like, well, that's only, like, third generation. I was like, but the last 2 generations have been raised British. Yeah. We are British.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have any of that heritage, because they at that time, I mean, it was around the World Wars, so having German and Italian at that time, they just erased it. Yeah. None of their kids weren't raised with any of that culture.
Anyway, in Yellowface, it's a really good book.
Yeah. Obviously, it sparked a conversation just then. Anyway, I'm going to bring the tone down.
Please do.
So this is another Audible included. The others aren't in the fucking included library.
Are you bringing the tone down? Or are we maintaining anger? Yeah, I feel ya.
I'm upset about this. Because I really enjoyed this book. So, 2 necromancers, a bureaucrat and an elf.
I literally just added this to my list.
Yeah.
Because it was, you might like when I looked at the Waldo one.
So this is the Unconventional Heroes book 1, but it's like a book 1 and 2, like a twofer. So I think this one I've listened to is very abridged because it's both together.
Two necromancers.
Yeah. If you actually click on the description though, it's book 1 and 2.
Oh.
But I think it's an abridged version.
Ah. Yeah, because it's only
both.
7 hours long.
Yeah.
Oh, 13 hours long.
But I don't feel like I missed anything. The narrative is not that complex. Right, the description is incredibly fucking long on Storygraph, so I'm not going to read that. I'm going to tell you about it.
The first one's called Two Necromancers, a Bureaucrat and an Elf.
Yep. But the actual series, they change the description depending on who's been added to the Unconventional Heroes group.
Two Necromancers, an Army of Golems, and a Demon Lord is book 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh. So you're going to sell this to me or not sell it to me? We'll find out.
Oh, I really fucking enjoyed this.
Oh, sold.
On 1.2 speed, it was about 7 or 8 hours, I think. So, we've got Timmy, our necromancer, and it's just, from the start, his name's Timmy. What kind of necromancer is called Timmy? Yeah. This is very much the same humour as Terry Pratchett, as the Water Rabbit books. Like, it's the same
came up on
vibe.
the... You might also like.
So his name's Timmy. He lives in like a necromancer's castle. And it opens with him. He's made a weird zombie hybrid animal that's like half... I can't remember what he's made it. But he's made a weird... It's two different animals stitched together. And basically the zombie, like he brings it to life and the zombie tries to kill him and then he kills it with a shovel. So his main weapon is a shovel. He doesn't use swords or anything. He uses a shovel. So he's like famous for his shovel. The shovel's on his standard. Like he's made shovel his thing.
Stop trying to make shovels your thing.
And his assistant is a 10-year-old girl called Katie, who's blonde and blue-eyed. She wears pink glasses. She sews pink outfits for the zombies.
Oh, I love that. I love this book already.
She has the powers of necromancy, but she also has these dark shadows that are at her command, and that she can use to like lift things, make wings, stab, like. And
that's so cool.
And it's like a father-daughter relationship, except she's constantly trying to kill him. But he's like, it makes me so proud because all he's preparing for is for the day. He's like, I need to make sure the castle's in good condition for the day when Katie overthrows me.
It's like it's giving me almost Addams Family vibes.
Yeah, he's like, for the day when Katie overthrows me, I need to make sure the castle's
I know
in
it's
good
coming.
condition. And he's like, my little evil apprentice is so cute.
Aww.
And he ruffles her hair and she tries to like stab him with shadows. And he's like, oh, miss me again.
Oh my god, I love this already.
So she has an army of ninja rats.
Of course.
So they were ninja rats that were hired to like take Timmy down, and Timmy basically was like, he's a big fan of not fighting when he doesn't have to. So he like sat them down and negotiated with them and was like, right, I'll let you live in this castle, I'll let you eat my food, I'll let you do whatever you want if you protect the castle. And then he makes a deal with the rats, and then the rats all move in. There's this race of ninja rats.
Oh my god.
But they decide that they like Casey more.
Of course.
So then they have one rat guarding Casey at all times, and they do it in shifts, and the rats can turn invisible, they have magic. Oh my god. And like the rats are like, so
do they not help her in trying to attack him?
Yeah, they do. So they're like, they have to make standards for a battle they go into, and she makes a pink one. She makes a bright pink one with a rat on it or something. And he's like, about the pink standard, not sure if that's a good idea. And when he starts like addressing like, I don't think that's very threatening on a battlefield, one of the rats starts gripping his sword tighter and is raising it while he's talking, like, oh, carry on, see what happens. So like,
go on, keep talking.
Like, so she doesn't like it when he ruffles her hair or something or calls her like a kid. So they're constantly also trying to kill him. So
that sounds so fun.
It's just so cute because he's like, oh, bless, you'll get me one day.
You'll get me.
And so basically it begins with him like nearly dying from this zombie hybrid animal that he's made, and he's like, I'm getting too old for this shit. And he's got all these statistics about necromancer deaths, and he's like, I don't want to be another statistic. I'm getting out of the game. But he's obviously done quite necromancy evil things. But he's not really, he doesn't kill innocents. He like has a line. He doesn't kill people to make them his zombies. He buys dead people off a dead person dealer, basically.
Body dealer.
Yeah. So he's like never been evil enough for the ruling council to do anything about him, but also like not enough that he could just stop being a necromancer and they'd be fine with it.
He just toes the line.
Yeah. So he's like, okay, and then he finds out that there's this war coming up and the council are getting desperate, so they're offering pardons in exchange for services rendered to people like him, like powerful sorceresses that are a bit like dodge. So he's like, cool, I'm going to do it. So he signs up to do this, and they're like, okay, you have to recruit other people like you to be in our little army of powerful magical people who will get pardons after the war that's coming is done.
Okay.
And they're like, so you're going to have to recruit people as part of your job, and then you have to fight in the war, and then you get your pardon.
This is like a weird MLM.
Yeah. So then he's like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. If I must. And then they do get money and compensation along the way, and they get to keep a lot of, like, any treasure they find and that kind of stuff. And so then he goes and recruits this elf who's, like, well known for, like, burning down entire forests and is a little bit batshit. And is, like, not like other elves, because other elves are, like, peaceful and they will have, like, wood magic, and she's like, fire!
Oh, I like her as well.
And she's a little bit bonkers, and so they managed to convince her to do it, but then she's always, like, muttering about once she gets her pardon what she's going to do to the council, and the whole time, the bureaucrat they sent to assess Timmy to see if he was worth it, being sent on this quest, is with them, so the bureaucrat goes on the quest with them, which is why it's called Two Necromancers.
So is he making notes and feeding all this back then?
Yeah. But then he has like he's actually quite weirdly powerful, but he just wanted to be he didn't want to be in the field. He wanted to be a paper pusher, and this is all against his will. And like he's just terrified all the time. He lives in the castle. The castle has weird like underground creepy things that try and kill them all the time. That they're just like There's like an interdimensional being called Sam who likes cake.
My soulmate.
And then, like, yeah, the elf who likes fire teams up with the ninja rats, and they make explosives.
Oh my god!
She makes a garden full of like poisonous, deadly plants that nearly killed bureaucrat.
This sounds really good, like especially in combination with that Waldo book. They sound like
And so like the first one is them going to recruit the elf, and then they're sent with the elf to go defeat like an old dragon. But it's like an old man dragon that can talk and
get off my lawn.
Yeah. And then because this is book 1 and 2 combined, the next book is them going after a half demon sorcerer guy that's up in the mountains who's been doing dodgy shit. And like Timmy has history with all the people in the council. And, like, there's one guy called James that he hates, who's just, like, really posh and, like, very Eton vibes. Yeah. And he's like, fucking James. And, like, Katie hates James as well. And, like, when James is there, Katie's shadows is, like, trying to kill him. And it's just...
This sounds so fun.
It's so fun. And there's lots of, like, funny little jokes in it. Like, she made a zombie pig lion and he got free in the castle. Katie was, like, learning how to do it. Because they make hybrid animals all the time. She made a zombie pig lion that got loose in the castle. So they were like, to Gerald the bureaucrat, they're like, just be wary of the zombie pig lion. Apparently it can climb walls. I didn't make it so it could do that, but it can climb walls.
It can do.
So it might drop from the ceiling on you.
Oh, there's quite a few books, isn't there?
There's quite a few, and only one of them is in the included library.
Oh my god.
This is why I'm saying I'm conflicted about what to do in my next credit.
So book 4.5, which should be a short middle one, is 27 hours
Yes,
almost.
so there's lots of little novellas as well. Oh. So you get a couple of the novellas in this book 1 and 2 as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And like they go to set up a bank account for Casey in the bank that deals with villains.
That sounds so fun.
It's so cute.
Oh
and
God,
she gives all the rats and all the zombies names. And stuff like that. So the rats are called like Rembrandt and stuff.
I love that.
It's honestly, I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. It got me through quite a busy period. Again, this is like what I've been listening to at work.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
That sounds so fun. I'm bumping that up my list. Yeah. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I think it's on par with the Waldo ones. I might have even enjoyed it more because it's a bit faster paced.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, I'll probably be talking about that in a wrap up soon, I think.
Yes.
Do you know what else I'm going to be talking about in a wrap up soon? I've not started it, but I'm going to read it soon. The Heaven's Official Blessing.
Yes. I know one of our listeners who is also a friend of mine will be very, very pleased.
Yeah. Because you made it sound so cool, and then a YouTuber I follow, a booktuber, read it as well, and I was like, oh, is that same book? And then I checked with you, and you were like, yeah.
Every paperback is £15 though.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I haven't read any more.
No.
But they're
really
on
pretty.
Kindle, I think.
Oh, no.
Or my boyfriend uses some he uses some things to read Asian fiction for free, and I can't remember what it's called. He uses a bunch of apps.
Get him to hit me up.
Yeah.
Because
that's why I haven't read more
I
of them.
had
I
to
want
flick
to.
through and looked at some of the images, and I was like, "This is so beautiful."
They're really beautiful books,
and all of the covers are stunning. So the booktuber I was following, who was reading it, I think she's just picked up book 3, and oh my god, the cover on that.
Yeah, don't look at the illustrations in book. Apparently there are spoilers.
Oh, okay.
So just look at covers. This is what my friend advised me, that there's spoilers along the way if you look at the illustrations that people post.
I did have
inside.
a flick through, but I didn't properly investigate.
And don't look up fan art. Apparently it's very spoilery.
Oh, okay. That's the one she's on, where they're like picture of 2 people underwater.
Yeah.
Obviously, you might know who they are, but I just think that's such a pretty cover. When she was reading it, I was like, that looks like a really cool manga. And then I realised it wasn't a manga, and then it clicked. That's the one that you read. And I was like, oh my god, I knew that. So yeah, I have that, and I'm going to read it soon. Should
we talk about the one that I nearly finished, or leave it for next time?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
So I nearly finished Twisted Love by Anna Huang.
Oh, have you started reading that series?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of just on a whim, because I've realised they're all on the included.
I was going to say, is it on
not included,
Kindle Unlimited?
Unlimited.
Yeah.
So I'll read the description.
Oh, I don't like those covers with the people on them. I like the covers.
Yeah, Storygraph's got the...
Oh, when I looked, it's just come up with that one.
Yeah, no, I prefer the blue cover,
one.
not the...
The, what are they
Brooding
called?
Man cover.
Called when they make the spicy covers not spicy, so you can have them on your bookshelf. Can't remember what they're called. There is a term.
Yeah,
for
there's
them.
a term for it.
But yeah.
Okay. What's the long description? Are we ready?
No. Yeah, go for it.
He has a heart of ice, but for her, he'd burn the world. Alex Volkov is a devil blessed with the face of an angel and cursed with a past he can't escape. Driven by a tragedy that has haunted him for most of his life, his ruthless pursuit for success and vengeance leave little room for matters of the heart. But when he's forced to look after his best friend's sister, he starts to feel something in his chest, a crack, a melt, a fire that could end his world as he knew it. Ava Shen is a free spirit, trapped by nightmares of a childhood she can't remember, but despite her broken past, she's never stopped seeing the beauty in the world, including the heart beneath the icy exterior of a man she shouldn't want, her brother's best friend, her neighbour, her saviour, and her downfall. Theirs is a love that was never supposed to happen, but when it does, it unleashes secrets that can destroy them both and everything they hold dear. I
just had a little flick through the reviews. I don't know why. I expected this to just have low reviews. There's a lot of really high reviews.
I went into this with low expectations because it was supposed to be, it's a 300-page easy read on Kindle and it was free. I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah?
Hence why I've nearly finished it but not finished Caraval.
I'm really confused by why I assumed it was...
Because it gets lumped in with these dark romance ones, which obviously we're discovering as I've been reading them, they're not generally good quality. So I had really low expectations, and it's on a lot of trope lists, and I was like, this is probably not going to be great. Okay. It is really readable. The characters are really enjoyable, even that this is one of those times where the icy, calculated man has been written well.
Okay.
And there is passion between the couple, despite the fact he is quite cold and calculated, and is sort of using her in a way. Kitty has appeared.
A wild Sybil has appeared.
Hey, Dickard.
Where are you going? I'm just going to climb over the mic.
Well, the beanbag is upside down, so that might be...
You can use my leg as
terrifying.
a little tree branch if you want. Can I pick her up? Will she be alright with that?
She will let you just put her in a place. She just won't let you hold her.
You go.
So
sometimes a little lift.
Quicker now, to be honest.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's going to take her a while to work that out, isn't it?
Yeah, she's I think they're 16 going on 17, or they're 15 going on 16. I don't know. They're old.
Kiddie interlude. Just going to close that so you don't try and lick up any ice.
Yeah, she will.
Because, I thought she might.
Won't eat her delicious fresh fish that my poor mum keeps making her, but we'll lick your dinner clean.
Yeah, I'll eat that pot noodle, please.
Yep. Anyway, he's quite well written. He's quite cold and calculated, but this fueled by revenge thing. It makes him quite a passionate person, big feelings, but icy dickhead exterior.
Okay.
And is nothing but respectful.
So, when he inevitably softens for the female, it makes sense to his character that he did that, as opposed to, when they're very rare and then suddenly they're like, oh, I love you, miss.
But, or that they're not I love you. He's just basically she gets under his skin. Because he's nothing is good in the world is terrible, because he witnessed something quite traumatic when he was younger. So we have the ingredients of the tragic backstory TM, which is why he likes rough sex. He's he's quite kind of uses women for sex.
My mum was a prostitute.
No, he watches his whole family get murdered before his eyes.
It's always something
that.
Yeah.
And that's who he's trying to get revenge on, is the person who ordered the hit on his family.
Okay.
He has a genius IQ and a photographic memory.
Of course.
So he never forgets anything. So obviously he never forgets the moment he saw his parents die before his eyes. So that's his tragic backstory TM. So he's decided I destroy everything I love. Basically, because he couldn't save his family, he's decided that he's a curse. Okay. So he has always had consensual, but said to women I don't want to date you. I will just be for sex. That's right. He's lays the terms out. I up front. He's I like sex that's rough. I will not treat you like a girlfriend. If you don't want that, peace be with you. But if they sign up for it, then they've signed up for it, basically. So it's again, that's where it walks that line of this is well written by a woman, because there's consent chat and there's contraception involved.
That was one of the things I really liked about The Neighbour Favour. There was consent and condom chat.
Yeah,
and I was queen.
And it was it's again, even with the sunshiny, quite innocent main character, he's when their relationship changes and starts to develop, he's look, I like a certain thing in the bedroom, and if you're not up for that, I don't want to put you through that. Peace be with you, kind of thing again.
Yeah.
And she's I really don't know about the idea, actually. I'd like to quite like to give that a go. But then in the spicy things, there is proper also, so he's if this gets too much, tap my leg twice to tell me you're done.
Which is how proper that kind of
BDSM chat
should be approached. Yeah.
There's discussions about lines and what she's willing to do, and kind of, they're very much in the moment kind of thing. Of I'm about to do this.
But if you're with anyone and they are oh, I'm completely in charge and you can't stop it, that's not correct.
Yeah.
BDSM. So end it.
He's just oh, I'm about to do this to you. Would you like the sound of that? And she's yes.
Yeah.
So it's again, consent chat made sexy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is actually a better representation of people who are into that kind of thing. So again, it's just those things that don't take you out the narrative, because you're just no one would ever put up with this when you read it, and you're it really kind of takes you out.
Yeah.
He is hot. He is quite. She doesn't do any attempt. She's with his business deals where he's quite ruthless. She's I don't want to know. Don't involve me. Keep me out of it.
Yeah, I'm just here for the
Don't behave like that with me.
Yeah.
And any time he does go a bit cold psychopath on her, she's yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, goodbye now.
Thanks
for all the fur, darling. I did boosh a lot up when I
She's literally covered in fur.
Sorry, cat interlude again.
She's just been brushed.
I was stroking her and now she has lots of fur loose and she just left it all over me.
There you go. Now you can rub on it.
No, I don't want to now.
It's a really enjoyable book. It's a really easy read.
It's a long series though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're obviously standalones.
Oh, really?
Well, that's my impression. I don't know how they could get more out of this story, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Series is called Twisted.
Twisted, yeah.
Oh, there's lots of there's 2 bonus things for that as well. So
there are some spicy scenes, but it's not one of those books where it's just fucking with vague attempts to make it.
So the second one's got different people, so it must. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I just assumed it was. I don't know what I thought it was, but I didn't think it would be interesting to me. Is all I know.
Yeah, and like, there's lots of narrative, and there's a character arc, and like then there's spicy scenes in the mix. This is not, it's not erotica disguising itself as romance.
Yeah, like it makes sense in the book.
Yeah. And I'm about 40 pages from the end, but there's a bit of a twist-ish towards the end, which I kind of felt like it was coming, but it is kind of quite a surprise, basically. So
this is available on Kindle Unlimited, you say? Okay. Just for...
I think the whole series is.
Research purposes.
Yeah. So I was surprised. Fully expected it to be shit. Because I was looking for just easy reading. It was still easy reading.
Was this going to be like your last attempt at like dark romance? Because I know last time you said you think you were kind of done with it after Den of Vipers.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just because this was on some other trope list. It was on I think this was on One Bed.
So you thought it might be a bit
yeah,
more
morally grey, and it does actually fit those, and not in a gross, toxic way, but he's still a dark character.
Yeah.
He does some quite dark shit. He has some quite dark emotions. But never, ever is it directed at her in a harmful way. In a non-consenting way. So I'm like, this is, there we go. Like, this is passionate, this is romantic, this is what a romance book is supposed to fucking be like.
Yeah.
Not these ones where he's like, and then I circled this 8 times, and then...
What was that in?
Oh, that was Promises and Pomegranates.
Oh, that's it. Oh.
No, Den of Vipers, like, the passion was believable in them, even if the consent chat was a bit of dodge. I take issue with these ones where, like, why else would you accept that behaviour from someone? Unless there has to be a certain amount of passion involved. I'm sorry. Like, I just... Them attempting to justify it of, like, I feel free in the coldness of his... the flame of his... There's no flame.
Yeah, what are you talking about, mate?
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that sounds fun. I will potentially check that out then.
That was a nice surprise.
I do have a long list of what I want to read, but I will potentially check that out.
I think if you just want an easy read, it's a little bit fluffy, but a little bit gritty-ish, gritty adjacent.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Perfect.
That's everything.
That was a good little wrap-up. I like that. Actually, I think it's good to do these regular small ones.
It wasn't that small.
No. But it meant we could really chat about the books, whereas usually when we're trying to fit like 10 books in, it doesn't work.
We have to power through.
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds like a good list from you. I will definitely read some of them.
I've been enjoying reading at the moment.
Yes. That's what we like to hear.
Yes. Which is just pursuing books that I enjoy. Like, when people are like, how do you read so much? And I was like, I never read something because it's on the bestseller list or someone said I should. I read what I enjoy exclusively now.
Yeah, so I know some people were like, oh, how can you only give out 4 or 5 stars? And I don't give out stars anymore, but if I did, most of mine would be 4 or 5. And it's because I now know what I like. So that's all and I'm very confident in DNFing. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I'm not so good at doing the DNFing, but I'm just not reading something because I feel like I should, or like I used to feel quite, like, because I like YA, I like fantasy, I like romance. It's like, well, now just, where's the harm in that?
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Just, read what you like, and then don't force yourself to read stuff you're not enjoying, and you'll have more fun.
Basically, you'll read more.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Please connect with us somewhere. We've got Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Please come and say hello on YouTube. We would love to have you over there. We also are available on LinkedIn and Facebook, and you can listen to our podcasts anywhere you want to listen to them. Please consider subscribing, following, whatever it is at that particular platform, and please do rate us. That we would really appreciate that, and share with anyone else you think might like it. We will see you next week for a to be decided episode.
Yeah, because we don't plan that far in advance.
No. So speak to you next week. Love you.
Bye.